Darn. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you hit your head.
My head a lot of times.
I'm not too sure. Been riding 15 miles a month like every day.
Are you sure?
like to call the public hearing to order. Are there any citizens wish to speak on behalf of the Michigan Community Development Block Grant funding for coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security? Again, is there any citizens wish to speak on behalf of the Michigan Community Development Block Grant funding for coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security? Any citizens wishing to speak on behalf of the Michigan Community Development Block Grant funding for coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Smasko?
Here.
Commissioner Baldwin? Commissioner Beeden?
Present.
Commissioner Torello?
Here.
Commissioner Rushing?
Here.
Commissioner Vandenbosch?
Here.
Commissioner Chairperson Ball. Can I have a motion to nominate a temporary chair?
I would move we appoint David Rushing temporary chair for the meeting.
Support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4. At this time, do you have any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda? Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to item 5, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, item 6, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous 2 meetings?
I make a motion to approve and file the minutes of the February 16th, 23 commission meeting and the March 2nd, 2023 standing committee meetings.
Support. Smasko.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. We have no proclamations that I'm aware of. Consent agenda.
This time I would move to approve items 8A through 8D contained on the consent agenda as presented tonight.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 9, reports of standing committees and special committees. I'll start with you, Dave.
Nothing.
Anything to it? Lisa?
The Board of Health Advisory Committee met. They appreciate the interest and the input on the bylaws, and we're supportive of the recommendations made. So they appreciate that. So thank you from them to us.
Steve?
They are contained in the bylaws as presented. I appreciate that as well, their willingness to discuss that. The only thing I had, I attended I'm on the Parks and Rec Commission as the commission representative. We had a meeting yesterday out at Willis Park again, and learning a great deal about parks. The Fort Gratiot Lighthouse is part of the Port Huron Historic or Port Huron Museum together, but it's owned by the county. Port Huron Museum has several pieces, and there's some financial things between them. It's rather interesting how that works. I was here in 2010 when the feds, that whole thing came down to get the lighthouse and all that. We have the oldest lighthouse in the state of Michigan, and it's really incredible what's happened in the last, I was off the board for about 8 years, and there's just tremendous things happen out there. So it's very gratifying to be on the board and watch that happen. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but it's all available on their website as well, and commission members are available for discussion. So that's it.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll move on to 10, citizen wishing to address the board. I'll start with Carol Miller. I do need the topic. Is this animal control? Okay.
First of all, I'd like to apologize. I'm getting over laryngitis. As you know, last board meeting I was here, it was packed. And so I was trying to show you guys how much I was concerned with animal control back from 2017 under the sheriff and under sheriff. We partnered, the group and I, we had over 400 active, and I'm totaling active volunteers for that group. We made great headways. We had community events, not only for the animals, but also for the community, the public that pay their tax dollars. My problem is when I came to you the last board meeting, I talked to you about an animal that was hit in the city of Port Huron. It was a family dog, a hit and run. Person behind them stopped, the animal died. The police officer came, took the animal to animal control, had no access to the garage, which is a problem, and therefore took the dog and threw it in the dumpster. Carrie Hepting, you are over the animal control as director. You made under just about $150,000 last year. You can't afford to take and put budget money in to get microchips readers for every entity in this county, the sheriff department, the police, fire departments. I don't understand why. All these animals that go through animal control should be microchipped. Any animal that is tagged, that has a license, should have a microchip. This is something that my group was hoping to get. We were going to be a 503c nonprofit. You voted us out of there. Therefore, with the way we were harassed and the way we were talked to, and I'm still getting harassments to this day, by the way, you basically threw us out of the animal control. You lost 400 volunteers. As of the last 2 weeks, I've had 27 more people asked to join our group. We are getting back together now that COVID is slowing down. We are not going away. The front row group that you used to have is going to be us now. So I'm asking all of you to please come together. Joy Torello, you are my Board of Commissioner. I'm asking you, since animal control is in Port Huron Township, to please start looking into these things that the people of the county deserve to have. And on another note, I came to almost every board meeting the whole time I was helping animal control. We did great things. I sat back at this board meeting 2 weeks ago and looked at all the commissioners up there, the attorney, the administrator, and do you know the only person that addressed the citizen, that addressed the board, that got paid attention to, was the gentleman who brought attention to Jeff Bones' illegal activity. I saw people chit-chatting with each other. I saw them playing with their computers, writing little notes. These people that get up here for their 3 minutes deserve to have them being looked at like you're looking at me now. I am so appalled at how the board is acting anymore. And Carrie, I am so sorry to be addressing you all the time, but you are the person who did what you did to our group, and therefore we're going to start coming back and watching stuff. Just so you guys know, my group, because of COVID, we kind of disbanded for a while, but we were helping rescues when we got booted out of animal control.
If you could wrap it up, please.
So Carrie, I'm going to be taking and coming to board meetings, and I'm going to be addressing this so it's on the record all the time. My group is going to start getting together. We're forming a meeting. We will be coming. Thank you.
Linda Swihoffer.
I'd like to begin, first of all, to thank the commissioners for their time. I was here at the last meeting. Want to speak again about the 26-mile corridor. I have talked to a lot of people, and I have not heard people clamoring, anybody that's really in favor of the 26-mile corridor. I gave my reasons last time, and you were all here. I'm hoping that I have a real rapt audience, you know, really focusing in. I'm looking at my district fellow over here, you know, Mr. Vandenbosch. You know, when you were put into office, any of you, you know, commissioners were put into office, you were put into office to serve the needs of your community and to listen to those residents that you represent. And I heard some wonderful comments that were made at the last meeting about, you know, that is a really large amount of money that you're talking about doing in a loan, whatever, you know, to IRA. And it's a large chunk of money. It's all that you have left now of the COVID relief money, the money that we were all supposed to benefit from. And going ahead and equally sharing it would be the right and the fair thing to do. I don't know one township, one village, one community that could not use those dollars. They're strapped. They don't, even for things like the one lady from Wales said, another group needed to put in a large culvert. And when the county tells you you have to put in a culvert these days, guess what? It's not a little tube under the road. They engineer it. It can cost $300,000, $400,000. And small communities don't have those monies. So I wanted to kind of press that point. The other thing and Jeff is not here, Jeff Bohm is not here, our, other commissioner. I listened to the State of the County address, and it was really nice, it was good, there were a lot of speakers. But when Jeff got up there to speak, I was really surprised that, something that seemed to be of such great importance at the commissioner's level, the 26-mile corridor, not a peep, not a peep. And I wondered why. If it's such an ambitious project and it's such a wonderful project, it really kind of astounded me that I heard nothing about it. So that was just another thing that I wanted to talk about. In China Township, and I'll wrap it up, in China Township, we do have zoning, a good zoning, plan that we have. We have an area that's zoned for industrial, light and heavy. The problem is, people want to come in and they want to do what they want to do, and then they want you to go ahead and make your zoning match what they want to do. And that just isn't going to fly. And I know for a fact in our township already, and this was days ago, there have been over 200 signatures.
Linda, please wrap it up.
So there is some work in the behind scenes. I just hope that this group is listening. Thank you.
Elizabeth Prill.
Good evening, I'm back. Okay, recently EDA CEO Dan Casey listed 200 acres of farmland at 26 Mile and King Road for sale and zoned as industrial. He did sign a non-disclosure agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, so our knowledge of what this is all about is limited at this point. And this same agency authorized him to list this property as industrial regardless of the township zoning and the fact that China Township had no knowledge that this was being done. The optics are that after Jeff Bohm brought in Magna to build housings for EV batteries, his friends and associates, some masked behind LLCs, began buying up land along or adjacent to 26 Mile Road, with some individuals already owning existing properties. True or not, that is the optics. Jeff claims that developers are only interested in building across 11 miles of a 2-lane road that currently lacks infrastructure, rather than more shovel-ready sites that exist currently on major highways. We need to ensure that public officials, including members of the EDA, have not used their knowledge of pending activities to purchase property along the corridor and collude to use ARPA funds to increase the value of these properties for private gain. After the March 2nd meeting, Dave Vanden Bosch told a constituent, or alluded to as a constituent, that if this proposal fails at the County Board of Commissioner level, that he and Jeff will proceed to work with Lisa McLean and Gary Peters to push this plan forward. So it is a concern that potentially a plan B, in view of the state of Michigan's involvement now, it might be to claim eminent domain, as was done for the EV battery plant in Marshall, Michigan. No one should support the current plan because it is covered in dirt. I support an economic development plan. I completely support the development of an industrial corridor. I just don't support it at this location because it simply does not make sense. Dave and Jeff, I'm sorry, I really believe that you should abstain from voting because both of you have egregious conflicts of interest in this issue. There is a serious risk of leaching of toxins into air, soil, and water to the surrounding homes, farms, schools, and the St. Clair River that come with EV battery operations. Michiganders have not forgotten the 1973 toxic exposure of PBB-PCB, which has affected the multi-generational health of millions of Michiganders for 40 years. The 2014 Flint water crisis remains fresh in everyone's mind because the lead contamination and possible Legionella bacteria isn't fully resolved.
Please wrap it up.
And the Ohio toxic spill shows just how quickly toxins can leach into air, soil, and the water table to cause serious risks to health. This is reckless, possibly reckless greed and indifference to the
Please.
welfare of your constituency.
You're going to have to wrap it up, please.
Okay. And it may even meet the legal definition of gross negligence in view of the fact that your own Wade drill study does not recommend developing east of Meldrum.
Lisa?
Okay, you can vote no and pursue a different course to tax revenue and progress, or you can continue.
You can't continue,
down this
Lisa.
path.
You get 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, well, thank you so much for
Thank
hearing
you.
me out, and St. Clair County strong.
Tim Parker.
Good evening. Seems sometimes light years ago that our Declaration of Independence was signed in our Constitution. And I understand there's several constitutions since then, and in my mind, devious changes to how we considered our founding. It was pretty much known at the time they declared it that we were supposed to be a moral and a righteous people for our Constitution to work. And sadly, we seem across the board to want to bury Christianity in America today. And that was my concern with how Mr. Arnie Kuntz, a good friend of mine, he ran the Blue Water Area Rescue Mission for 13 years. He had a seat on the health board from the advisory board, and I believe that he was summarily pretty much buried. I believe his character was assassinated in the way that people dealt with the situation. I think people voted that shouldn't have been voting. There was conflicts of interest. Arnie, in my mind, there were no complaints against his service, and yet he was squashed. None of that made any sense. I still have not gotten an answer to my complaint against the board. Maybe they will never correct it, and maybe Christians won't be allowed to really serve. I do believe his Christian faith was pretty much squashed. I think he did a valiant job for our community. I know his heart was for the good of the people of St. Clair County. And I guess I'm still looking for answers, and maybe I'll never get them. But I would just pray that someday we really support, not just say a pledge to the flag and give credence to our Constitution, but I wish we would actually be proactive actors of our Constitution, and right now I don't see that. Thank you.
Tim, give me a call tomorrow. You and I have talked on this issue, so I got some. I'll talk to you tomorrow if you get a chance. Kevin.
How y'all doing tonight? I got a couple things I want to talk about. Number one is the library. I'm sure most of you have probably seen the post about the water leak in there, and if the commissioners haven't, you can find it. I know they were working on the roof today. I was informed about that. Ms. Beeden, the library is in your district. Maybe take some time and go to the location and talk to the director there. Not on the phone, not in email. Go there. I think there needs to be a mold study done there. This leaking has been going on for a while. There's a lot of water that's come in there. This is a public building with a lot of kids and residents go. I think the county needs to do a mold study there to find out that the air is not contaminated and to make sure that it's not, and if it is, it needs to be remediated. I know there's some discussions, about the building and building a new building, some other things that I've been informed of, but we need a short-term solution for this leaking. To have the kids section leaking, the staff section leaking, to have kids in there being read to while there's garbage cans collecting the water, it's a bad look. know Jeff is actually the liaison with the library board. I'm curious why he's not here tonight, but that's whatever. The second thing I want to talk about, I just left Lisa McLean's town hall meeting in Milford. That's why I was late here. It took a while to get back. And I spoke to her about the 26-mile road project briefly. And she said, stop dropping her name, whoever's doing it. She says she's not really associated with you, and don't name drop her with that project because she really has nothing to do with it right now, and she's not going to get involved with it. I have her on record as saying that's a local issue. It has nothing to do with her. She's not going to involve herself. So for anybody on the commission that may think she is going to, she's not going to. At least she said that on record, but we know how politicians are. So she may come back in and whatever's going on. I'm not privy to the conversations you all have behind closed doors. But I did talk to Ms. McLean about it at this town hall meeting in front of everybody. And she said, like, it's a local issue. And you see all these people here and everyone that has shown up over the last few weeks and months, they don't want it. You know, and maybe that they don't want it, they don't want the way you guys are going about it. Some of you are going to profit from this, and it's absurd. You know, Todd Chartier is going to profit from this, and that's absurd. If you guys want to profit, pay for the infrastructure yourself. Go get the loans, go get the grants, whatever you're going to do. Quit using our COVID money to do it, because it can go to a lot of other people. There's a lot of other struggling businesses that could use that money, not to just fatten Todd Chartier's wallet and Kenny's wallet and Tom Kaufman's wallet and your wallet. You know, you guys have there's just a major conflict of interest with this project, and you guys are trying to shove it down our throats. And like I said, I was informed by some people that Commissioner Vandenbosch, you made a comment that if this proposal gets shot down locally, you guys are going to use Gary Peters and Lisa McLean to push it through. Well, Lisa said that's not the case, so we'll see what happens moving forward. But she was very adamant not to name drop
If you
her.
could, Kevin.
Yep. Oh, cool. So I appreciate you guys' time. See you next time.
Okay, I believe that's all we have, the citizens wishing to be heard. We're going to move on to unfinished business. I'm sorry?
Late arrival, is that what you're saying? Yes. Yeah, one more speaker.
Yes, that's fine.
Give your paper here and we'll send it down.
We didn't know we were supposed to sign it.
Is this your speech or what is this?
That's what I'm going to be asking.
Did she print out the letter for us?
Did you fill out the form to speak? Well, just the board chair. They didn't fill out the form. They've got a little thing he wants to look at here, what he's asked us to do, pass that around. Just maybe somebody can fill out the form real quick on the table and hand it to Dave. Won't take much. Go onto the podium and get started, and she can fill it out. Dave, go ahead. Get his name and his topic, and I'll fill out the paper.
Okay. My name is Harold Bain, Chairman of the Highway Transportation Authority, and I'm here seeking your, basically, support in our endeavor, what we're doing. I passed out a piece of paper in the communications that this communication is to convey support for the Harson's Island Transportation Authority in their pursuit and due diligence of safe, affordable, reliable transportation services to Harson's Island. I was asked to do this by Dave McElroy from Blue Water, because we're in negotiation with Blue Water Transportation right now with them. We've been to EUTA, we've been to every place, and everybody seems, and my grant writer wants us to get this from you guys. It's just stating that what we're going on, and we're going to get grants and see if, like, feasibility studies. We've already done the traffic studies, we've already done most of the work right now. So that's what we're looking for, is just, we've got an MDOT letter stating that they're good with us. And we just need something from the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners. I know we've never been to any of these meetings before because we've never really gone at it, but now we're really going at it strong. So we have to start going and getting our ducks in order. And yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm here for support from the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners to keep continuing going on.
We normally don't reply, just got a comment. Before, just speaking for myself, before I would support anything, I'd need to know a lot more about it.
Yes,
I'm just not arbitrarily going to support something.
No, I understand it totally. I mean, I'm open for questions, anything you want.
We normally don't do that here. If
No,
you
I'll
could
come back and get on the agenda so I can explain actually what's going on.
talk to your commissioner first, he could probably get a lot of the answers for you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I need your copy there, please.
Oh,
the record? Oh, okay. Okay, and I know I'm going to get your last name wrong. Ken?
You know, Ken.
Oh, Harris.
Everybody knows Ken.
I know you.
Well, first, excuse me, I didn't realize, I thought maybe we'd done away with the practice of having to sign in, because I looked at, there's a code out there, and it basically says you don't have to sign anything to come to a council meeting. But anyways, let me talk to you a couple things here, you know. The things have been going on recently, and it started probably early last summer, and it kind of left a strange taste in my mouth. And you know, these American Rescue Funds, when they become the property of St. Clair County, Port Huron, Michigan, the city of Port Huron, or whatever entity it is, it becomes property that's basically governed, in my opinion, is governed under the state of Michigan. And under the state of Michigan laws and stuff, there's a protocol on here, and there's a whole section on here that looks, and it gives you the limits of municipal expenditures. And it's really straightforward. And I guess the bottom line with it is the fact that, you know, it's when you do something with federal money, or now that it's state money or county money, it's got to go to a position where most of the people can get it. And what I see right now under the proposal, other than the $500,000 each you've got to run for re-election, I think now we got another pot that we got to take out here and spend. And the idea, the thing is we're looking at spending all this money on one area, the 26-mile road corridor. And you know, when you look at it, I don't know the specifics of it, but if you look at it, I would believe that less than 1% of the county population lives on 26-mile road, or even adjacent corners and stuff. So I think what we have to look at is what we're doing with this. We've got a little bit of new life in K-PAC, which shows that projects work out there. Port Huron Township has an industrial park, City of Port Huron has an industrial park. We have so many things we can do with this money, and I'm sure the county has things they could do with the money. But other than the corridor, I think it's a bad move. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? If not, we'll move on. Unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business. We'll move on to 12A, to approve the February 2023 county disbursements in the amount of $27,343,412.83.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the county disbursements for February.
Can I have a second? Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Smasko?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandenbosch?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to 12B, to reappoint to the Community Mental Health.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Julie Jowett Lee, District 4, Nancy Thompson, District 6, and Kyle Schweck, Member at Large, to the Community Mental Health Board, each for a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2026.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12C, the 2022 Drain Commissioners Annual Report.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the 2022 Drain Commissioners Annual Report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12D, Stewardess Services Agreement with the Friends of St. Clair River.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2023 Stewardship Services Agreement with Friends of the St. Clair River for 2023 in the amount of $10,000.
We have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? I believe we need a roll call.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandenbosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Smasko?
Yes.
All right, moving on to 12E, to approve the private hangar ground lease for Lot T5.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the private hangar ground lease for T5 with Tailwinds Holding LLC, term of 01/01/23 through 12/31/52, in the amount of $36,000.
Support.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? Need a roll call, I believe.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
All right, motion passed. We'll move to 12F.
This time I would move to adopt Resolution 23-02, authorizing the submission of a development grant application in the amount of $150,000 to the Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Program Fund for Phase 2 improvements at North Channel County Park, and approve the commitment for county millage funds donations for the local match.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Do we need a roll call on this one?
Just a grant application.
Most resolutions we haven't, but this one, money, or do we need to? If we do, we'll take one.
No, not for an application.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12G, Resolution 2023-03.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2303, authorizing submission of a development grant application to the DNR Trust Fund in the amount of $300,000 for Phase 2 improvements at North Channel County Park, and approving the commitment of village funds and donations for the local match.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving to 12H, authorized to distribute the draft of the St. Clair County Master Plan.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the distribution of the draft St. Clair County Master Plan for the 63-day review and comment period.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 12I, St. Clair County, Spongy, I want to say the other, moth suppression program.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to authorize spraying for approximately 320 acres for spongy moth control in the amount of $30,400 with funding provided by the county.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch?
No.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes. 12J, to approve the letter of support the Village of Capac.
This time I would move approve the letter of support for the Village of Capac for the reconstruction of Main Street.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12K, contract approval request with T-Mobile.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement with T-Mobile for the Sheriff's Department in the amount of $17,000 annually.
Have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch?
Yes.
12L, contract extension approval request with Vivente Software.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract amendment with Vivente Software, extending the expiration date of the agreement to 12/1/23, and the increase not to exceed a total of $242,575.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Moving on to 12M.
This time I would move to approve the agreement with the I3 Image Soft LLC company for on-base journal e-court updates in the amount not to exceed $60,690.
Have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Torello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden Bosch?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Moving on to 12N, the opioid settlement funds.
At this time, I make a motion to approve the district court, circuit court, and sheriff office proposals using opiate settlement funds as presented.
Support.
Are we going to need a discussion? Do we need a roll call on this for the funds?
Yes, please.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandemash?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Baldwin? I'm sorry. Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Trello?
Yes.
All right, moving on to 12O.
This time I would move to approve the agreement for ambulance millage distribution with the Village of K-Pac.
Have a second?
Yes.
All right, you seconded that, correct? All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12P, the day treatment night watch manning table change.
I'd like to make a motion to adjust the manning table for the day-night treatment. Day-night treatment. Yeah, anyway. Manning table.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 12Q, sidewalk replacement, Marine City Courthouse.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to award the sidewalk replacement project at the Marine City Courthouse to McKinsey Concrete in the amount of $22,600.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Beeden?
Yes.
Commissioner Trello?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandemash?
Yes.
Okay, 12R, Advisory Board of Health Bylaw Revisions, which you talked on earlier.
Yep. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised Advisory Board of Health bylaws.
Support.
Any discussion? Just want to do the same thing. Thank you for everybody's efforts. Steve got it initiated in the
Was
Health
referred-
Department.
yeah, referred to
I mean,
it earlier.
they've been working on it for 2 years, so
Yes.
a lot of work has gone into
Yeah.
those. We
Thank-
do
thank you.
appreciate.
Yeah, they
the
sent it
input.
out the first I'd really had a chance to look at it. They did send it out sometime in
Yeah.
advance, and they worked on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
I put that one piece in there, and I was very gratifying that our director and everyone here would look at that and put that in. I really appreciate it, and I think it's
I
good.
want to say thank you to Lisa King also on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Liz King.
I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 12S, St. Clair County Library System.
I make a motion to approve the 2023 Library System 2023 closing request.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 12T, Proposed Social Media Policy Revisions.
This time I would move to forward the proposed revisions of the social media policy to the April regular board meeting for final approval.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay. Administrators report.
A couple things this evening. I did want to follow up regarding the citizen concern we had last meeting. I did follow up to the commissioners via email regarding animal control. That evening that the incident did happen was the evening of the ice storm. So our after-hours door was unfortunately frozen shut. All deputies do have access to that door, and they are able to call dispatch if they don't have the code to get in. There is a plan B for them to access the building. However, that officer wasn't aware of it, so he did not contact dispatch for that. So it was a very unfortunate incident. We have discussed this with PHPD, and they made their officers aware of the protocol. So that should not happen again. And I also do want to say that all animals that come into our facility are scanned for microchip, and we microchip all of our animals that are adopted. The county's ordinance currently does not require all pet owners in the county to microchip, but any that's adopted from our facility does come with a microchip.
Please, we're having a meeting. You can always call your commissioner up or call up Carrie. She was right on this. I don't want to get a long discussion. She was right on this and answered right away.
Was there an issue, Carrie, with the officer's experience? I remember I was trying to find that email just now. Was it a?
I believe it may have been one of their newer officers. It's not their normal animal control officer because it was in after hours, and we have also worked with our maintenance department on solutions. Since it's a north-facing door, it would freeze shut, so to see if we can have some solutions there as
No one
well.
on the board wants to mistreat animals, obviously, or anyone else for that matter, would want to do that. And these chip readers, I had this, kind of the same question. I mean, it's an issue of, like, when these animal control is over on Griswold, right?
Yes.
And is that the focal point for all of these animals? They go to that one location, or are there other locations around the county?
Our facility is only the one on Griswold. I think some places might have a small holding area, but all the animals do come into our facility.
So other, like, police department lockups might take an animal? Is that what happens, or no?
So let's say it is, if it happens during the day, our animal control officer will go and pick it up, but it's only staffed Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So if it's after hours, it would be local law enforcement or the sheriff's office that would pick up an animal or respond after hours, and then they are put into the after hours holding area.
So our animal control has a chip reader,
Correct.
and the problem with not enough chip readers is what then? I mean, with this issue of who else would have chip readers besides animal control? I apologize.
I believe Ms. Miller is suggesting that the county provide a chip reader for every law enforcement officer in the county to have.
Okay, rather than drive to the pound and do the chip read, she's asking that we put just like a defibrillator or some other standard equipment, you'd have a chip reader in every car kind of a thing. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you, I understand, thank you.
Brief update on the library. Alice and I have been speaking regarding the roof. We are aware of the roof issues, and we have been for some time. In a way of history for some of the newer commissioners, the library has been in very serious discussions or considerations of moving the main library branch. And on the heels of that, there was just some discussion at the board level of what would happen to that facility, and it could potentially be a sale or a tear down. So the reason we have just been patching the roof instead of replacing it is we did not want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a roof only to have them move and the building torn down. So Allison is working with her library board, and I believe next month they will be voting on a proposal to have an architect look at their existing building and to make improvements to the existing facility. I believe they've kind of exhausted their options on other facilities or buildings in the community that suits their needs. So I think we're all in agreement that the best course of action is to remain where they're at and improve that building. So with that being said, we will at some point in the near future be coming forward with a proposal for some of those repairs.
And Allison Arnold is our...
Oh, sorry, Allison is our library director, and she is in the audience this evening as well.
She sent an email to Jeff Bowman, he forwarded it, acknowledging that this was a pop-up kind of a situation. He just let it languish. It popped up, they addressed it, and she said that Mr. Link had been in to talk about that in a very professional conversation and tried to give him the information he needed to show that it's part of the general routine maintenance issues with a large operation like the county.
It is. The roof is included in the county's capital improvement plan, and every time there is a leak, it is addressed immediately. You know, unfortunately, the roof is old and it does need to be a replacement. So we do need a decision, you know, if they're going to stay in that facility, so we can start investing some funds in it.
And that decision would start with their board of directors, and then they would make a recommendation to us?
That's correct. Our airport RFP for the FBO, those are due tomorrow, so those will be evaluated, and sometime likely within the next 60 days, we will be coming to you with a recommendation regarding that. The broadband consultant RFP, it was also posted last week, and responses to that are due at the end of the month. I do want to draw your attention to this month's ARPA report. We did change the format a little bit. I know there's been a lot of discussion regarding the ARPA funds. So at the bottom, Dina provided a reconciliation that shows the amount of funds that have been spent in each category. Many of the proposed uses fit into the lost revenue bucket and don't necessarily fit into one of the other buckets. So when the board is making decisions going forward, we need to make sure that we're not exceeding what we can spend in those categories. And on the heels of that, based on the discussion we had at the committee meetings, next month I'll be bringing to you a list of capital projects the county currently has in our capital improvement plan. And I will note on each which ones would be eligible under the ARPA funds that could fall under any of those buckets. There was some discussion that the board would like to perhaps look at some internal projects first to take care of or in addition to. So I will provide you that information just for discussion purposes at your next meeting.
When you make that presentation, Carrie, is there any easy way to note, like a hierarchy, you know, emergency versus, you know, it can wait kind of a thing?
You know, it's very difficult to prioritize, you know, perhaps a sheriff's radio over a roof replacement because they're both important. So, you know, I don't want to say one is more important than the other, you know, but I could say a landfill improvement, I probably would not fund with ARPA dollars because they have their own funding mechanism through the landfill fees. So I'll kind of note that on there, and then, you know, as far as a priority, that will be for you to decide.
Thank you.
And last, we have received, I know you approved the plan this evening for the existing opioid funds we received. I received notice last week from the distributor that there is an additional settlement coming. And kind of how this works is the settlements are with multiple drug companies, multiple distributors. So the initial settlement we got was with Janssen and several distributors, and now this next round is with a few other distributors. So next month we will be coming to you with a resolution if the board would like to participate in this additional settlement. And we will need final action at committee meeting just because of the due date to sign on. But I believe the next round is estimated to be approximately 3.9 million spread over a number of years as well. Any questions on that?
Can I have a motion to accept the administrator's report?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Miscellaneous. We do have one thing that I was going to bring up under miscellaneous. Jeff Boehm is our chair, and he couldn't make it tonight. He feels it's important to make every meeting he possibly can. So he has requested that our first committee meeting in April meet on Wednesday at 6 p.m. rather than Thursday, our normal date at 6 p.m. So I'm bringing it up for discussion, and potentially we could have a motion to have the meeting moved over to Wednesday. I've talked with Carrie, and she'll take care of the IT, so we have a regular meeting. We'll have all the facilities here and necessary people. But any other discussion on that?
What's the actual date?
I don't have a calendar, so I'm going to guess April 4th. April 5th will be the Wednesday. April 6th is the scheduled meeting currently. And we've done this in the past for other issues. A lot of times it'd be with the supervisors meeting, the MTA meeting, various reasons that we need to reschedule. But yes, Steve?
Jeff called me on that as well, and he is just, I think for the record, he's down in Macomb at a function with some federal people on some of this funding issues, and so it wasn't like he just didn't want to show up. But the other issue wasn't so much for tonight, it's for that other meeting. I know he's on vacation, and we do move meetings for people. You know, the balance there is, you know, people expect a Thursday meeting, they want to come, and then it's a Wednesday, so it kind of throws that into a, you know, out of whack. But, you know, I think it's important that Jeff be here to listen to some of what's said, because a lot of these things, you know, affect how he may vote on a matter that may be a 4-vote matter. So I'd like to adjourn it for that reason alone, that he can be here and participate and hear everybody. I think that on balance is the right thing to do. So, you know, I would move to adjourn if you need a motion consistent with.
Well, we can have more. If you're making a motion, please make it.
I did. I moved to.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Support.
Okay, a little more discussion. I agree with every bit of that. Jeff is our chair, and he represents the county as our chair. So when you guys come to our meetings, I think it's good that you're able to speak with our chairs. So I would support this myself. And I normally don't think we should reschedule meetings for vacation, but we have some important issues we're addressing. So.
Do we get notice out immediately, Carrie, or how do we do that?
Our calendar will be updated, and then as the meeting gets closer, the information will go out.
Maybe you could move that up so at least it gets done as soon as possible. That's all.
Right. If my memory's correct, by law, it has to be 18 hours prior.
I want more than 18 hours.
Yeah, I would like 2 weeks, or, you know, whatever, as soon as you can do it, which Kerry will. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
I had one other miscellaneous thing, Dave, just real quick. I, at 5:45 tonight, I got an email from a citizen from my district wanting me to read something into the record, rather lengthy thing. The bylaw provisions that I did, or we did in the early on, provides that communications to the board would be submitted and not read into the record. The 1089 sent something out to one to read into the record, and I responded back. I forget the section, but the reason I did that was during the COVID deal last year, people would send letters in and they were reading them into the record and not being here, so I thought it was important that we just note it on the record, make copies available, and not read stuff into the record. So then it came in at 5:45, so we couldn't do it anyway, but I'll probably send that to the administrator, just as a communication to the board, make copies of it for next week or 2 weeks from now to put out for people that want to see it and acknowledge it on the record, and that was my idea of how that would work. If there's any discussion required on that, but that was just a...
Any other miscellaneous business? All right, could I have a motion to receive and file?
Make a motion.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. We stand adjourned.